So good morning, good day everyone, and here we are, and here you are over there. You're there as you're here. My there is here. So I'm confused with this worldwide way in which we're all present on this globe at the same time. So to start this meditation, to see if you could enter into a meditative posture, kind of from the inside out. Adjust your posture, maybe sway back and forth a bit, sway forward and back, and see if you could maybe twist a little bit and find a place where you feel most aligned with alertness and a kind of alignment of things that your whole body can begin to be unified in harmony here. One aspect of meditation is coming into a kind of unity, kind of a harmonious whole, where there's no divisions, no borders, as if different parts of who you are made up of distinct countries, the mind, the body, the heart, the emotions. These are not distinct countries with sharp borders, but you are made up of a unified, seamless whole, where all of who you are can be included. All of who you are has a place here. And then to gently close your eyes and taking a few long, slow, deep breaths, maybe as if you're breathing from deep inside and spreading the inhale, expansion through your whole body, bringing your whole body into play as you breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, to let go, relax, and settle into this body. Having a longer exhale than usual, but only as long as it's comfortable to let go and release and settle. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And perhaps a normal breath. Maybe, just maybe, you can find that a light touch in relationship to breathing. That the body that receives the inhales does so with a light touch. the body that settles as you exhale. There's a lightness, maybe even a tenderness in the exhale and the body breathing out. Breathing in and feeling the activities of your mind, the energies of thinking, the feeling, sensations of having concerns and worries. And as you exhale, to soften the mind, quiet the mind. To lighten up, to maybe lift up, release some of the weight of the mind. So the mind has a lightness, or at least your awareness is a light touch. And then to settle into the body, breathing. And whatever you're aware of, any moment when you're aware, and especially consciously aware, to let that conscious awareness have a light touch, lightest of touch. There's no force and assertion, and there's no hesitation, just lightly touching, feeling, sensing the experience of the moment. And the metaphor of touch suggests that it's always in the present moment. Touching is always a present moment experience. And to have your awareness touch and be touched by the experience of breathing, of body, of feelings, of whatever is happening here. Staying here in the present moment. Relaxing the thinking mind. Quieting the thinking mind to be just here with this experience. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to allow your attention now and your thoughts to lightly consider the people of your life, the people that are in your neighborhood or community, the people that maybe you're aware of through the news or through communication of some kind. And gently to let your awareness spread out across the lands, as if it can reach out towards where all the people of the world live. And as you breathe, to breathe in the suffering and challenges that people live with. Offer to take it from them, not so it's stuck in you, but so you can transform it on the exhale with the blessings of your goodwill, the blessings of your well-wishing and care for others. And to always, at the end of a meditation, to consider how the meditation practice can be for the welfare and happiness of others. How whatever benefits we have received from meditation, known or unknown, to have them happily spread from us out on the exhale, out into the world. So we take into account the people we share this planet with, the beings we share this planet with. And we offer our goodwill, our care and kindness, our mutual support. And then you might say these words, repeating them after me, maybe silently in your hearts. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And may I contribute, even in the smallest ways, to this possibility. So this is the Sunday after Earth Day. So some of us sometimes will commemorate Earth Day not on the 22nd of April, but on the Sunday following it or close to it. And I certainly would love to speak a little bit about this home that we live with and this home that we share and the care of it. And as many of you know, the prefix eco, E-C-O, like ecology, means in Greek home. And so ecology is the study of our home. And I just finished 2 days, yesterday, 2 days of the training that I teach, I co-teach on Buddhist eco-chaplaincy, the spiritual care in relationship to our home that we live in. This home that we all share together. And when people live together in a home, roommates, family, there's a whole different relationship we have to the mutuality of that home space and the mutual care of it and keeping it clean or creating an environment that's nice for everyone there, caring for the people under the same roof. So we share this global home, and that we call the earth. And in the way that I like to see things in words, it's an ancient game that Buddhist teachers, even back in ancient India, love to take Indian words and do kind of, not exactly etymology, but to tease apart things from the word. And so it turns out that the word earth and the word heart both overlap with the letters A-R-T, art. And the art, and maybe the meeting place of our hearts and this earth is in the art of living. And this expression, the art of living, offers a kind of, I think, a rich series of connotations that life can be a form of art. And more than it is work, the work of life, more than it is a duty or a burden. But an art is something that we offer our hearts to, our care, our creativity, our attention, to detail. And so this earth of ours, do we live on it with the art of living? And so one of the most powerful, one of the, I think, powerful images coming out of Buddhism of our relationship to the earth is the image here on the Buddha on our altar has this, what's called the earth-touching mudra. I guess I'm blocking it a little bit with my shoulder, but if I lean a little bit to the side, I think maybe you can see that the Buddha's right hand is reaching down over his knee, and his fingers are just about to touch the earth. Or maybe he's just touched the earth and he's pulling it away. And but you can see the delicacy, the simplicity, the very relaxed way in which that hand is draped over the knee, and it's a relaxed kind of going forward to touch. It's not grabbing the earth or attacking the earth. It's a light touch. Just the tips of the fingers going to come down and touch the earth. And I can't help but to think of the image on the Sistine Chapel where Michelangelo has painted the touch of God on the fingers of Adam. And Adam is just coming alive, being touched by God. And there also we have this light touch, this gentle. It's not a gentle touch. And to live touching the earth, to live lightly on the earth, a light touch in how we live our lives. The Buddha, there's a wonderful verse where the Buddha says that like a bee collects pollen from the flower without harming the flower. So a wise person walks through life without harming anyone or anything. So certainly, we get our food, our water, we get our things, take care of what sustains us from the earth. But to do so in a way that it's a light touch, that doesn't harm the very thing that is sustaining us, like a bee. So here the Buddha is touching the earth lightly. And the story of this is, it's part of the mythology of Buddhism. We don't find this story in the earliest layers of the Buddhist records from the Buddha's life. But some maybe 500 years later after the Buddha, you find this story that is really colorful. I think of it as, this is a time in ancient world where there was no Technicolor movies, there was no color photos, and it was very much an oral culture. And so it was orality that would paint these dramatic pictures of that were evocative in this imagery. Maybe not just to entertainment's sake, but also to evoke the emotions, to evoke a sense of awe at this life we live. And so the story goes that the Buddha was sitting on the ground, and the statue we have behind us, it's not sitting really on a pedestal. He's meant to be, sitting, on the ground, on the earth. The night, in the evening, before his enlightenment, he was sitting there in his quest for awakening, for freedom from suffering, to really get to the bottom of what suffering is, and to find a way not to suffer. That's considered to be one of the great noble quests, to bring suffering to an end, not as a fantasy or a fable, but as a real possibility for human beings. And that was his dedication. And so in this fable, this myth that was there's a lot of things, a lot of forces that want to prevent the Buddha from becoming free of suffering, of discovering this peace and stepping away from the attachments, addictions, hostilities of the heart that might, that have such a strong compulsive pull and demand on our attention. And these are represented by Mara and Mara's armies. And Mara came with these, and the descriptions are, like Lord of the Rings, and, of the huge evil forces that are marching across the plains, and with all kinds of ogres and orcs and all kinds of awful creatures, and huge elephants that must have been like the Bradley tanks of the ancient world, fighting elephants, and came marching to chase the Buddha away, to destroy the Buddha, to prevent him from becoming enlightened. And the drama of the stories is, worthy of, something like Lord of the Rings, and they throw every possible weapon they have at the Buddha, arrows and javelins and sharp-edged discs, and in these. And the Buddha, as you see in the statue, is unmoved and relaxed and breathes at ease and doesn't react or doesn't flinch in any kind of way. And in fact, all the arrows and spears, as they get flying through the air at the Buddha, tens of thousands of them, the air is buzzing and howling with all these armies and dragons and things that are just kind of attacking the Buddha. And all the weapons turn into flowers, and the flowers land on the ground. So after a while, Mara realizes that violence is not going to dissuade the Buddha from his calm, his peaceful endeavor, his calm discovery of where freedom from suffering is. And so Mara comes with his last weapon, and that is to sow doubt in the mind of the Buddha, to challenge him, or to claim to him, you have no right to become awakened. You have no right to attain this highest capacity of human peace that a human being can experience. And this idea, you have no right. So I interpret all this as being all kind of psychological forces inside the Buddha himself that are casting all the forces they can to prevent him from letting go of this, how he usually has been. The attachments don't want to be let go of, and his self-worth has huge doubts whether it's appropriate for him to become awakened. Isn't awakening and freedom from suffering isn't it kind of an abandoning of people? Isn't it a kind of attaining something profound and beautiful for oneself? And is that okay to do when everyone else is suffering? And there's all kinds of doubts that can come up. And so one of the things that Mara says in trying to sow doubt in the Buddha's mind is that you have not benefited people enough to deserve being awakened. You have not practiced enough generosity. You haven't given enough to people in the world, and without having lived for the benefit of others, it's not appropriate for you to become awake. And the Buddha says, well, then I'll bring a witness who can bear witness to all that I've done to support this world, all the generosity that I've done back over the many lifetimes I've lived. And he said, I'll call upon the earth as my witness. And here we have this provocative idea that the earth that's been around for so long is the witness that keeps the record of what we have done. I grew up on the coast of Italy, and it was remarkable to see. It was kind of beautiful at first, seeing the islands around where we lived, and then to realize that they were completely denuded of soil, mostly bare rock, because they had been over-farmed with grapes and olives 2,000 years ago, or in the Roman times. And all the soil had washed away in the over-farming of them, and nothing was left. They'd cut the trees and they'd farmed. So the record is still there. And the record of what humanity is doing to this planet, that the earth remembers, it's here. What do we carry with us? But the earth remembers also the good. And so the Buddha asks the earth to bear witness to all the generosity and all the benefit he'd brought people over his lifetimes. And to assert his right, the okayness to let go of his clinging, his attachment, to become free and experience the happiness of liberation. And so that's when he reaches down, he's going to touch the earth to ask the earth for, be that witness. And I love this, that he doesn't assert his right for awakening. He doesn't rely on his own feeling that, yes, it's okay for me to become free. That he's calling on something that's larger than himself or beyond himself, that for the support, for the validation, for the encouragement, yes, it's okay. And if we see ourselves as part of the natural world, part of the earth. We are the earth because we're part of the earth. We are made up of 100% recycled material that has been part of the earth for eons, for a long time. And in a sense, we're arise out of the earth and as part of the earth, and we are the earth that can see itself. We're the earth that can hear itself. We're the earth that can taste itself and walk on itself. And so here the Buddha is touching the earth, this light touch of the earth. And then the earth, in reply, to bear witness to his right to be awakened and all the generosity and good he'd done, the earth has an earthquake. And then the legions of Mara's armies realize that the Buddha has indeed the right to be awakened. And they get frightened. And they run away in all directions. They say, the text says, no two of them going the same direction or the same path. And they run away, and then in the vacuum that's created, all these deities come to create light and celebration. But the Buddha just sits there. And as he's sitting there, he's sitting under the Bodhi leaf tree, the Bodhi tree, and as he's sitting there, a few leaves from the Bodhi tree gently fall from the tree and land on his robe, land on his lap. And there's no explanation about what this is about, but it's a beautiful imagery again. Again, the Buddha is in nature, sitting at the base of a tree, and now this gentle movement of a leaf of this Bodhi tree, that leaf that looks coincidentally a little bit heart-like, comes down and lands on the Buddha and sits there. And I take it as being a little bit, again, this intimacy with nature, the natural world. And then, only then does the Buddha see deeply into the nature of this world. And he sees something about the interconnected nature of this world. And paticca samappada is the Pali word for this. And in doing so, he becomes liberated and free. And then there's in this Technicolor mythology, it's the whole universe gets lit up in light. Even the dark crevices of the universe light up with the Buddha's enlightenment. And then he gets up eventually and he walks. He walks a long distance across northern India to find people that he can begin teaching to, find people he thinks are ready for his teachings now that he's awakened. And so his awakening is not the end of the story, but in a sense it's the beginning of the story. And in this ancient text that talks about this, it's actually made up in 3 large chapters. And the third chapter begins with after his awakening. It's a new chapter in this Buddha's life, when he goes out to be of service and to serve and to help the world. And so we have this wonderful myth that is evoking our connection to the earth as part of practice, as part of the natural world. And the idea of the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, sitting on the earth, touching the earth, being caressed by the leaf that falls down. It's also said in this mythical story that with his awakening, the flowers bloom in the other trees around. And those flowers begin kind of falling, petals start falling as well. And so the art of living, an art of caring, living in such a way that we live beautifully. It's one of the associations I have with the idea of art. Certainly not all art is meant to be this way. But when I think of the art of living, I think of living beautifully, living with a beauty, living with an ease, living with a creative source from within that is not burdened by distress, not caught in hostility and aversion, not caught up in self-condemnation and feelings of guilt, not caught up in um, giving up, despairingly giving up, but rather one that feels the natural aliveness and lived life that wants to meet life, wants to be connected, that when it's intimate and connected to what we love the most, then we'll treat it like a bee taking pollen from a flower without harming the flower. And to sit or meditate and become free, and then have access to us in intimacy or a closeness or of a love for what we see and what we go do. In the story of the Buddha's enlightenment, this mythology, the whole universe gets transformed with his enlightenment. As I said, the flowers and also fruit bloom out of season. Music starts being played in the skies. Light spreads throughout the universe. Beautiful things happen. And for me, this is a metaphor for how we see the world when we become free. When we settle and become intimate and present and clear, and we've cleared away the distractions and preoccupations and fears and worries that we live under, the eyes with which we see the world changes, and it isn't that the world has changed, and it's not kind of to be Pollyannish about what goes on in the suffering in the world at all, but the eyes see the world tenderly. The eyes see the world and see beauty, or see love, or see sweetness. In this mythology, it says all the oceans of the world turn into sweet water when the Buddha fresh water when the Buddha becomes enlightened. And so it's as if everything changes, and there's a beauty in this world. So to live beautifully, and one of the ways that it's lost often in English translation of the Buddha's teachings is the Buddha talked about beautiful karma, beautiful actions in the world. And the word he used is kalyana. And sometimes in translation as good karma, and then there's bad karma. But in many teachings, the Buddha talks about he doesn't use the word good, but uses the word beautiful. And so that our actions, how we live our life, has a beauty to it, and a gentleness or a tenderness to it. And part of that is to live beautifully in relationship to this home that we have, the earth, and to care for it, to love it in the art of living, and the art of caring for this world. And so make that be kind of to be really not a subsidiary thing that we do, a sideshow for us, but to really live in a way that we care for this world, the people of our lives, the environment we live in, the planet we live in, so that it's not a duty, and it's not a burden. It's not like we make ourselves now so much more busy, but rather it becomes an innate expression of our love, our creativity, the artfulness from which we are living our lives. So that this is why we practice. We practice every day, we practice all the time. Not because it's a duty, not because it's an escape per se, but rather because it allows the best of who we are, the most beautiful qualities of who we are, and the most richest ways in which we can see the world and hear the world becomes becomes natural for us, becomes where we live from. We live from freedom. We live from ease, from peace. We don't live from hurry. We don't live from greed and wanting and filling our plate and attacking. And we live with a light touch. And the earth will bear witness. The earth remembers. And the earth hears. And one friend of mine says, it's because the word earth begins with E-A-R, with hear, that we know that the earth is listening. The earth is listening to us, watching us. It's certainly caring for us. And it kind of keeps a record. And perhaps when you're ready for your enlightenment, you can call upon the earth to bear witness to your right to becoming free. I think the earth will support us if we care for this earth that we live on. May we care for it together as if it is our home, because it is our home. On this Earth Day, Earth Week of 2021. So, thank you.